guys, welcome back. Same position, except now Jax is napping and it's just the girls, and we are going to chat about my birth story today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not done so, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you guys here every week when I upload a new video. I'm gonna kill my cat. Like what you're seeing, please give it a thumbs up, and also hit the bell for notifications so you know every time that I upload a new video. Mainly vlogs on my channel and then sit down chats like this. So thank you for coming back if you have been here for a while. So I am going to chat about my birth story today. We did film having her and everything in the few separate videos. If you guys have watched those, I will link them all down below in the description. I watch those like almost, I feel like every day, and I cry every time I watch them. But I figured I would have a nice sit down and chat to you guys about the birth story and kind of like from start to finish, like what my experience was and why we did what we did. And yeah, so if you want to know about my birth story, about this little nugget, please keep watching. Actually given 2 due dates. Like when I first went to my first prenatal visit, they gave me the date of 1/6, and then when I went to the other one, they were like 1/9, but then I remember the doctor being like 1/6, 1/9. It's like the same thing because it was like only like 3 days apart. I need a sip of water. I always went by the date for 1/6 to be the date. So, but the doctor always had like 1/9 on their paperwork, so it's like whatever. So I had a great pregnancy, had no complications whatsoever besides like really bad discomfort towards the end. And yeah, so that was all discussed in my previous video. So let's get to talking about the actual birth. So 39-week appointment the week before. My doctor was like, you know, I was only 1 centimeter dilated, and I was 1 centimeter dilated for like a few weeks, for like a couple weeks. Like they check you every week for the last month, and they check your dilation, and I was still only 1 centimeter, barely. And the doctor's like, you gotta start having some contractions. I was not having contractions, like nothing, like minor cramping, but like that could have been just Braxton Hicks. Like I didn't know because I didn't get to experience that with Jackson because he came so early. So the doctor was like, all right, well, you know, you have 2 choices. Do you want to just let nature take its course and like have it happen when it happens, or do you want to be induced? And I was like, honestly, I was like, if I make it to my due date and I haven't progressed yet, I would like to be induced because I was just uncomfortable. And not only that, but I like with James's job too, I felt like it was just easier for us to know a date. For him to let the work know this is when he will be there starting this day, and then we can have it perfectly planned that way. I'm a big planner, guys. If you don't know that about me, like I like to have things organized and planned, and like which is sometimes not a great thing, because if things don't go according to plan, it messes you up. So I just like to know when things are happening and everything. So so we went ahead, and I was like towards the end, I was at like the 40-week appointment. And the doctor's like, okay, well, she's like, I'll call the hospital and see if they have, you know, we can get you in on this day so that you can be induced. And I'm like, perfect. And I was still 1 centimeter dilated. So I was like, okay, let's get things moving. So that was a Friday, I think. Yeah. So maybe a Thursday of the week before, and I was scheduled to go into the hospital on Monday evening, so Monday, January 6th. So I'm like, great, perfect. I can plan, I can take the weekend to get ready. I can, you know, get my nails done because that's important. And I can just like everything was already packed because I had my hospital bag packed. I made a video about that too. It'll be linked below. And it was great. So I was so happy to know there was a date. And who knows, like she could have decided to like all of a sudden come right before that. You never know with babies when you're that far along too. So on the 6th, I had my appointment that morning for my weekly appointment, and they still wanted me to keep that appointment, so I kept the appointment. I went in, barely 2 centimeters. They're like, okay, like you made some progress, but barely. I was like, okay, so I'm glad I'm being induced. So I went in, everything looks great still, and they're like, okay, I had to call the hospital between 2 and 3, and the hospital will tell you what time to come in, because it all depends on when they have the rooms available and like a bed for you and everything like that. So I was on the schedule though to go in. So I called at like 2:30 or so, and the hospital's like, okay, we don't exactly know what time yet. Give us a call back around 3:30 and we'll have a better look at what time you should come in tonight. So I was like, okay. And I would remember I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was literally cleaning my makeup brushes, and I was making a video for like my Facebook page of how I clean my makeup brushes, because I was just doing things to pass time at this point. And I kind of had in mind that the doctor wanted me there probably between 5 and 6. So I knew it would hopefully be around then. So I was like ready to go. I was just waiting on a call. So I was just doing things to keep myself busy. James had just ran out and got us lunch because we were going to eat some sandwiches. And then he like worked out and he went up into the shower, and I was cleaning my makeup brushes at my kitchen table, like speaking to my phone, telling everybody. And then all of a sudden, like 3:15 comes along and my phone rings, and it's the hospital, and they tell me, okay, you can come in at 5. What time did they have me come in? 5. I think at 5 or 5:30. I think 5. So it was like 3:30. So I was like, okay. So my parents were already on standby because they were coming to my house to watch Jax, because that was the one overnight that we would need them for. So they I called my dad right away. I was like, okay, I gotta be to the hospital at 5. Can you get here by 4:15? Because that's what time, like, I want to leave about no later than 4:30 to get to the hospital. The hospital is about 25 minutes away from our house. So my dad's like, okay, I'll be right up. So my dad came up. I ran upstairs. James was in the shower. I was like, okay, James, we have to leave in like a half hour. And he's like, okay. So his bag was pretty much packed. He was just finishing getting dressed and ready. And then my dad got to our house at like 5 or 4:15, and then we had to say bye to Jax, and that was emotional. I'm not a big crier, you guys, but I was tearing up a little bit. I was like, oh my god, the next time I'll see him, like, we'll have a baby. So I was like, I love you so much, Jax, like, but we'll have fun with Nana Pop. But we try to make the goodbyes quick, because if you like drag on goodbyes, like with like kids mostly, they'll like then get upset that you're leaving, so you kind of want to say bye and then run out. So we said goodbye to him, and we left for the hospital. And my mom was coming up to the house too, because she was staying overnight with Jax here at our house, and then we were hoping that we would have the baby by the next day, so that they only had to do one overnight for us. So anyway, we got to the hospital, and if you guys have ever been induced or anything like that before, the process is a little different probably for everybody, but for me, we got there, they check you right in. They literally, you like say that what you're here, and they bring you to your room, they give you your gown, you get changed, you sit on your bed, and you basically don't get up, and they hook you up to all the monitors, and you're like, and then they check you in. It's 1,000,001 questions about like every sort of anything you could possibly think of about your health. And so they get all that paperwork done, you know, into the computer. They hook me up. They put like the IV thing in my arm for like when it's ready to be, when you need an IV, they have just a thing in there for it. They had all the monitors on the belly that check, you know, the baby's movement and the heart rate, the heartbeat. and you know, which is kind of almost annoying because like when you're sleeping overnight, like you're shifting, so every time like I would move, the nurse would have to come in and shift it because they have the monitors out by them to check. But you know, so then I was hooked up to that. So what they did overnight is, I forget the exact name, it's not the Cervidil, which is what gets inserted into your cervix. This was a pill that I would take, a quarter of a mini itty bitty pill, for like a quart of it. So every 3 hours I would take the 1/4 to get all 4 of them in, and that basically just softens the cervix and gets it ready for contracting and birth. So I did that overnight, so that first thing in the morning when the doctor got there, like at 6:37, they would put me on the Pitocin and get me ready to get the contractions going. So the doctor was like, okay, he told the nurse to tell me like I want her up and like tell her to shower before, like so that I'm showered and don't have to worry about that and nice and clean before. So I got up at like 6:30. I remember the nurse came in at like 6 o'clock and I had just fallen back asleep because I was having minor contractions all night long. Basically felt like uncomfortable period cramps at that point all night long, like overnight. So, and I could rarely get comfortable. So I was like in and out of sleep all night. And so the next morning it was like 6 o'clock. The nurse comes in, she's like, Helen, you know, it's 6 o'clock. You want to get up and shower? And I had just fallen almost back asleep and I was so out of it. So I woke up and I told her, I was like, can I just have 5 more minutes? And she's like, okay, no problem. I was like, okay. And then I like, when she left and I like realized what I did, I was like, oh God, I have to like get up. But I was like, 5 more minutes. I just need 5 more minutes. But no, there was no such thing as 5 more minutes. So I got up. I got up, I called the nurse. I was like, okay, I'm ready to get into the shower. So we took all of like the monitors off and she had to wrap my arm up so that the IV wouldn't get wet. And yeah, so then I got into the shower and she left and I got into the shower. And at that point I woke James up. I was like, James, I'm about to get in the shower, so you might want to get up and like start getting dressed and ready because it's gonna be like 20 minutes until the doctor's here. So I got up, I got showered, you know, put a new fresh gown on and got right back into bed. But I felt nice to shower. And if you guys had seen like our videos about when we had her, I already had my hair and makeup done because from the night before, so I kind of just like didn't have to worry about that. I already went to the hospital with like clean hair, had my makeup done and ready to go. She's smiling. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So anyway, we did that and they did that, showered, I got back into bed, and after that the doctor gets there and he's telling the nurse, you know, there's a nurse shift change, and our nurse Jamie came in, and I mean, I'll go into more detail as it goes on, but she was the best nurse ever. Just amazing. I'll mention her throughout the rest of the story. So we got there. I mean, she got there and she started the Pitocin. So what the Pitocin is, it makes your body contract. So if your body's not naturally contracting, which mine was not, it causes the contractions. So I got the Pitocin probably right at like 7:30 maybe they started it, and it's an IV drip. So I got that going, and then we were kind of just hanging out for like the morning because I wasn't allowed to eat anything then, and we were I don't remember the times, but I just remember sitting watching like Kelly and Ryan, so that they come on at 9 a.m. So it was around that time where my contractions really started to like pick up. So like where they were not unbearable yet, but they were definitely, I was like, okay, I'm definitely contracting. Then the doctor came in and they had to break my water because my water had not broken. So that doesn't hurt. It basically feels almost like when you go in for your annual checkup, a little bit more than that maybe. It's just like they stick the thing in, and then all of a sudden you're gushing and you feel all the water coming out. So the water broke, my water broke, and that's when the contractions then started really picking up. So it was probably around 10 something, probably 10:30 that I asked for an epidural, because the contractions were then getting really bad. I was actually sitting in a chair because I wanted to change positions a little bit, and the doctor's like, comes in because my monitor moved. He's like, all right, let's get you back into bed because the monitor's not picking up the baby's heartbeat the way you're sitting. So I got back into bed. They put the heart rate monitor on, and that's when I asked for the epidural. I tried to like be strong and like hold it out, but I didn't want to wait till the last minute. The nurse was like, you let me know when you want this epidural, because like I gotta put the call in and then we gotta wait for them to come. So I was like, okay, I'm ready. I told the doctor I'm ready for the epidural. So the nurse comes in, she's like, oh, you ready for the epidural now? And I was like, yeah, I can't do it. So the anesthesiologist gets there and James has to leave the room, and she starts the epidural. And the first time she did it, it did not work. So she did it, got it in place, got me all set. I laid back down. I was still feeling my contractions, and she stayed and waited. She's like, I'm gonna wait to see, make sure. She showed me the button to push if I start to need more. I was feeling all my contractions. I'm like, I'm not feeling them at all. And they're like, okay. And she's like, let's up it a little bit. I'll give you some more and let's see if it works. Was not working. So I was like, so there, she's like, okay, we're gonna have to redo it. And by redo it, I mean redo the whole thing. Like take it out and then re-put the tube in. So she takes it out, gets me numb again, redoes it. I feel, oh, it was like, it was uncomfortable. And thank God for Jamie. She was there. She was, so you apparently have to have a certification in order to use aromatherapy as a nurse, because before you didn't. They have it actually like locked up now, I think. So she has her certification for it. So she used the lavender and she was just kind of massaging it onto my shoulders a little bit, and having me breathe it in. She's like to help me relax. She was amazing, and it did help. So she did that, and they put the epidural in the second time, got me back to laying down again, and like minutes later, I'm like, I start to feel numb, because you get that warm sensation in your legs, and then, you know, you're going numb, and your legs feel like they're this big, but they're not, obviously. And I had a contraction. I was like, am I having one now? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, I barely feel it. And then like the next one and the next one got less and less. You're always going to feel pressure. Keep that in mind. It's not like going to make you feel nothing, but you're not going to feel pain. And that's what I was feeling. So finally it worked, and the anesthesiologist went on her way. She was super nice. So it was about 11:45. Jamie put like hot towel on my neck, or hot like blanket on my neck, put warm blankets on me, so I just got all comfy cozy thinking I'm gonna be laying there for a little while. And it was like 11:50, about 12 o'clock actually now, maybe a little before 12. I started feeling that really, really intense pressure in your butthole, basically. Like you feel like you have to push out a poo. That's the feeling you're looking for, where you know you're ready to push. And I'm like, and it was getting intense, and I didn't expect things to go that fast. So Jamie actually, the nurse came in, and I was like, I was just about to call you, but I'm feeling like a lot of pressure in my butthole right now. She's like, great, that's what you're supposed to be feeling, and I was just coming in to check you anyway. So she checks me, and she's like, oh my God, she's right there. She's like, I gotta go get the doctor. She runs out. So I knew at that time, I looked at James, I'm like, I think this is it. Like we're ready to start pushing. And it was 12 o'clock. And what's just funny, because the night nurse, that when we got there, the one who checked us in, she's like, I'm gonna put a bet on that you're gonna have this baby by noon. And I remember the doctor saying, no, not by noon. Let's shoot for like 2 or so, but noon, no. And she's like, I'm gonna say by noon. And lo and behold, I start pushing at noon. So the nurse runs out and gets the doctor. Thankfully, perfect timing, because he was about to head into the OR for a C-section, but he got somebody else to do the C-section, I think. And then he comes in to my room, and you know, once you have to start pushing, it's like a mad rush. And the nurse, Jamie, she warned me of this. She's like, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means that, like, you know, we have to get everything ready and you're ready to push. So it's going to look like a mad rush when everybody comes in here. So her, another nurse, and the doctor were there. And they were like, all right, you ready? One push. I pushed once and I could feel her head like basically out already, like halfway out at least. And I was like, oh my God. I started not hyperventilating, but I was like, oh my God. I was like going like that because it was all that pressure right there. And I didn't expect her to be like that close to coming out already. So, you know, the doctor is there. He's like, okay. She's like, Jamie is like, okay, calm down, calm down. If you feel like you have to push. She's like, give a little push, give a little push. So I push a little bit just to help. And then they would tell me, okay, you ready for another push? I was ready for another push. 3 pushes. This one was out. It was amazing. And Jamie was amazing because, like, as the whole thing was happening, she goes to James, she's like, give me your phone. She was taking all these pictures of her coming out, which is amazing because, like, obviously I wasn't ever going to see it. James wasn't going down there to look. And so it was kind of nice to see it, to be honest, because you always do wonder, like, it's just such a miracle how this happens. So literally 3 pushes later, this little girl came into the world at 12:20 p.m. on January 7th. And it was such a quick labor. For example, with Jackson, I pushed for 2.5 hours. For her, I pushed for maybe 10 minutes. So it's kind of funny because, like, before, it's like she wasn't ready. She just wanted to stay in the belly. But once, like, you know, we went to the hospital, she's like, fine, I guess you're kicking me out. Here I come. And so, yeah, so she was born at 12:20. This beautiful little girl came into the world. It was amazing. So right after, you know, they do the skin to skin time for like an hour or so, where literally they don't even clean her. I mean, they wipe her off a little bit and put a little hat on her, but she's just laying on your chest for like an hour. And we have some video and some you know, images of that, but like an amazing experience this time around. And it was just so cool. It was so cool. It's just such an amazing thing, child. Like your body, like, it's just, to think of what it can do, like the female body, it can do and it's capable of. And after she was born, it was great. She was on the chest and they got me cleaned up. The doctor sewed me up a little, you know, I had to get a couple stitches. And Jamie, our nurse, was like, okay, what do you want to eat? She's like, because you're probably starving. I was like, hell yeah, I'm starving. She's like, want me to just go get you some sandwiches? I was like, sure. She's like, okay, I'll be right back. She goes and gets a tray of sandwiches for James and I. And James is like feeding me the sandwiches because I have the baby. And it was like the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. Hospital food, like, come on, like, not really. But at the same time, I was so hungry. You don't realize how hungry you are because you don't eat. So I had like the sandwich. And we're still in the labor and delivery room, and, you know, we're telling all of our family and friends that she's here. And yeah, so you had to wait a little bit until, like, I regained feeling back in my legs. And you know, once you have the epidural, you also have a catheter because you obviously can't get up to go to the bathroom, so they had to take that out too. And so after that was all out and I had some feeling, when then the baby was with the maternity nurse comes in and does all the vitals then about an hour after she was born. That's where they do the weight, the height, the check all her vitals and make sure she's all good, does the footprints and everything like that. And while she was doing that, that's when I was like, okay, I kind of have to pee. I gotta go pee. So she's like, do you have some feeling left in your legs? And she's like, in your legs? I was like, yeah, my left leg's still a little numb, but my right's good. Jamie too was like, she's like, all right, did you bring comfortable clothes? And I was like, hell yeah, I did. She's like, all right, go get, she's like, get the clothes. She's like, let's go into the bathroom. We'll get you cleaned up and dressed. So she takes me into the bathroom and she goes, okay, sit down. I sit down, I go to the bathroom. She gives me the bottle. You get this little like squirt bottle to clean yourself down there every time you go to the bathroom. It's the best thing ever. And so she helps me clean me up. She wipes me down. She literally wipes my whole body down, like cleans me off. Gives me like that type of like sponge bath type thing. Gets me my underwear, like the big pad on, an ice pack, and like she gets me, literally dresses me. She was the best nurse, I'm telling you, because I didn't get that when I had Jax. Like I did that all myself, but she did it all for me, and it was amazing. Like literally, nurses, like labor and delivery nurses are angels. So she got me all cleaned up, and then after that I you know, went back out, and my wheelchair was there, and they were wheeling me into my maternity room, which was just down the hall really. So we go and we get into there, and yeah, I think then like we had already told my parents, because they were bringing Jax to meet the baby, so we already told them that we were on our way to the room, so they were already, you know, waiting for that call to come in to visit. And they I think it was, they were there, and we told them like, oh wait, because she was getting checked and I was actually getting checked too. So they, like, once that was all done, then they came in and Jax met his baby sister. We have all that footage in our other video. Again, they'll be linked below. And they were there, and it was so cool to see Jax. Like, he was like so like iffy at first, but he was so cute. Yeah, and then the rest of my hospital stay was great. I mean, James went home with Jax every night, just to not throw him off his schedule too much, because everything was already changed for him. So James would go home and then come back in the morning with him and hang out till about lunchtime. Then he would go home. They would have lunch. Jax would go in for a little bit of a nap, and then they would come back and we would have dinner together at the hospital. James would bring dinner, and then him and Jax would go back home. And every night, since it was just me, I did send her to the nursery. So I needed my rest too, because I was exhausted. So I would do her like last feeding maybe around midnight or so, and then I would call my nurse and I'd be like, can you take her to the nursery so that I can get some sleep? And of course, that's what they're there for. And they're like, of course. And she's bottle fed, formula fed, so I didn't have to worry about, you know, them bringing her in to breastfeed. So I could at least get some sleep every night, and so that was good. So then I would always get up at like 6 or so, and then I would get up, I would get dressed, I would like rinse myself off too, shower, change my garments and all that type of stuff, put on, I think the day after I didn't, I stayed in my pajamas, but then the next day I got like dressed. And, you know, and then I would call the nurse and say, oh, you know, you can bring the baby back in. And then I would do her feedings, and she would just hang out with me. It was like honestly a great birth experience, guys. I really don't have any complaints or anything that went like wrong. I'm so fortunate and lucky and grateful for how everything went, and the care that I was given at the hospital was just amazing. Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's my birth story. I don't think I missed anything. I will eventually do like after birth, like at home care type of video, like all products and stuff that I recommend that I needed. I think I'll do something like that soon too, but for now I wanted to give you guys just a little sit down story about my complete birth experience. So let me know if you like these types of videos. Give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you guys here, part of our lives and our family. We love sharing things with you guys, and making these videos are just so fun for me. So we would love to have you here. So please subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to know every time we upload new videos every week. And I think that's it. So, I mean, there's my little baby, my little sleeping baby. Say thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, my mama. You're gonna see more of me. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in our next video, okay? Bye.